Thanks for listening. If you like what you hear, support the show by joining the Nerd On Nation powered by Patreon. Go to nerdon.tv/Patreon and get Nerd On exclusives for as little as $1 a month. Nerd On the podcast is proud to be powered by Focusrite, Embody, creators of Immerse Gaming, Odyssey, Amazon, and TCG Player. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to Nerd On the podcast. You screwed it up. Welcome to Nerd On, the podcast you didn't need but deserve, where all levels of nerd are welcome. I am your bumbling and stumbling host, the Azorian one, Anthony Steves, and I am joined by a 5-person team ready for Survivor Series War Games. Not tonight, but first a podcast. I'm joined by...
Didn't go to All In. This is Amy.
And I'm Tom.
I'm Steve. I'm Corey.
And I'm Josh, and you're listening to Nerd On. I felt like that was the appropriate way to this particular episode.
Correct. That was correct.
But
that was the right choice.
Steves, what are we keeping our listeners entertained with?
Well, you see, the time could be 11:55, almost midnight. Enough time for one more story. Keep us warm. This topic tonight is The Fog, John Carpenter's classic from 1980.
2005. Oh, shit.
No. Get out. Go sit in the corner of that room in the back.
No.
Yes, we're watching
The Mist.
Ooh, another good one. John Carpenter's classic from 1980, The Fog, starring Adrienne Barbeau, Jamie Lee Curtis, and a plethora of John Carpenter's favorites.
Bravo team.
Nice. But before we get into all of that wonderfulness, I'm going to throw it to you, Tom. Our episodes are dedicated to somebody. Who might that be?
Yes.
What?
I caught it. He threw it. I caught it. And here we are to dedicate the episode to a patron, one of you patrons, and it's a current member. Again, we love all of our patrons. You guys help us keep the show going, help us keep all of our hosting fees and making sure that everyone can listen to it on any platform. You guys truly are the biggest reason why we continue doing this, so that we can try doing this as much as we can without ads from big companies that tell us exactly how to do our show. But this episode is dedicated to Charis W. And I'm not going to use his last name, but Charis, thank you so much.
What's up?
Word.
We appreciate you.
You're the fog in our hearts.
Aw.
Yes. Thank you so much. And we can go into the
You're
show.
The
Josh,
vendetta in our hearts. What? No.
There it is.
Revenge? What?
Yeah, revenge. There it is. But yeah, The Fog from 1980. It's exciting.
Yes.
I'm actually kind of surprised that we haven't done this. We've done a few Carpenter films, but I'm kind of surprised that we haven't done this. But how about we
stop coming? They won't stop coming.
Yeah.
I
mean, how about we just start off the conversation at the beginning and just kind of our thoughts going into this episode and getting prepped for it, that kind of thing, and seeing it. Because I'm already talking. What?
Yeah, go ahead. I was gonna say, is this anybody's first time watching this?
Actually, funny story. I went into it thinking I watched it again. Let me preface it. Let me actually take back that sentence. I watched it yesterday and I thought, oh, I've seen this. Of course I've seen this. I didn't remember a goddamn thing. I was like, wait a minute. I don't know if I have seen this. I've seen everything else Carpenter, but not this. What?
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those films that's so iconic that you just like have seen it.
Assume. Yeah.
You're just like, I've seen it.
And you've seen on so TV, you've seen parts of it. Yeah.
You've seen screenshots, frames and whatever. And you're like, oh yeah, I've totally seen that. And you're like, no,
I want to.
Yeah. You've seen YouTube shorts of it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to corroborate on that because there was a time when I was in school and we were just doing nothing but Carpenter films.
Sounds like a life, buddy.
I want that class.
And I was really like fascinated with I don't know what's called, the Apocalypse trilogy, right? The Thing, Mouth of Madness, and there's something else. It's like part of like how the world ends in the Carpenter universe and all that stuff. And this definitely fell into it. Absolutely same thing. And this is again the viewers discretion advised. Don't binge watch stuff. Like you just blend it all in, and then you're just like, I don't know. And I'll say this as well to go even further. The first Fog was Tom Welling. That was the first Fog I ever watched, and that was like on TV rerun. And so like going into this like in school, be like, okay, this is my time to watch. And now I'm like, and then I'm like,
it had an audience. You had Tom Welling. You had what was that? Smallville. Like he was pretty. He was pretty hot in 2005. So
It was.
So
contrary to its name, was pretty big.
Yeah, yeah. It was Big Bill.
Oh,
Corey's.
Oh, ain't that super?
Somebody else speak. No.
Well, how about I kick off with a synopsis of what the film is for those who are uninitiated? How about that?
Keep it quick.
We'll do very like 2 sentences.
Give us a long
2
line.
sentences.
Give us a long line. Let's go.
An unearthly fog rolls into a small coastal town exactly 100 years after a ship mysteriously sank in its waters. John Carpenter's third film only, The Fog.
He was so little too. He was so little. He's in there, and you're like, oh, you're adorable.
Yep.
Cool to know. Also, like the movie only cost like $1 million. At the time, 1980. That's like what, $10 million? Probably?
Yeah, most of it was his own funding.
Yeah.
And I read it in the trivia section. He shot on fancy cameras to give it a higher quality look than it actually was.
It's crazy to think that this is like technically an indie film. Like it's known as like independent supernatural film, and you're like, this is a classic, right? Like you hear of the classic movies and horror movies and all that stuff, and a lot of them come from Carpenter and Deborah Hill, and it's just like The Fog, and you're like, oh, yeah, but it's like that was known as an indie. It's like that's crazy.
89 Ninja Turtles. Indie film, highest grossing indie film of all time until like 2-3 years ago.
Still the best one in that trilogy.
Yeah, easy. And this film, The Fog, also had Carpenter quit acting.
Wait. Did you just say that Ninja Turtles was the highest grossing indie film?
At its time.
For quite some time, yes.
At its time.
I thought that was Halloween.
I think it had it beat when it came out in 89.
I gotta fact check that because Halloween was made for just over.
You guys talk. I do the fact checking.
Well, I'm not saying. I'm not saying
you're wrong. I just like wait.
Really? Not over budget. Like highest gross. Like it made the most money back. I don't know if it's adjusted for inflation, but the threshold it crossed for an independent film. Like maybe it made $2 million, even though it had a higher budget.
Yeah. And mine was like
just replaced it like 3 or 4 years ago.
How about you, Amy? Was this your first time watching it? What was your like going into it?
Surprisingly, it wasn't my first. If y'all know me, I get spooked easily.
What?
Yeah, with the side of it, I just watched Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and I actually was like jumping, so that's a problem. Yeah, you can laugh; it's okay. But in regards to The Fog, I had seen Halloween quite a bit ago, and this was actually the third Carpenter movie I'd seen. I saw Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, which I liked. Go figure. But coming into this wasn't the first time I'd seen it, and I actually really liked it. And the angle that Carpenter took with it. So, and I know we're going to go in and talk about that, but yeah, it wasn't my first viewing, so I don't feel so bad.
For the listeners and watchers who just have that trivia brain, need that itch scratched. Amy is wrong. Yeah, it's okay.
Yes,
everyone's welcome. Halloween was made for like nothing, but it grossed 70 million. Teenage Mutant Turtles was made for 19 million and grossed 202 million.
Okay, I am happy to be wrong.
Damn.
Like that's like considering
data.
also
It's
like
okay.
It's all data.
It's not
baby.
an ego thing.
But Amy is wrong.
But just so joyful though Amy was about being wrong. Okay.
But just so we're clear.
Push up them glasses, Tom, and tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah.
What?
Check mark on
What
your
about
name.
you, Corey? What about you?
This was my first viewing in the last 8 years. But before that, I've seen it a bunch of times. But it's been a while.
Nice.
So I think this was my wife's first viewing.
Nice.
And she was like, "Do you think this holds up?" And I said, "Look, every Carpenter film holds up, and that's a fact. Don't fact check me on that either."
I
But
agree on that.
it was really, I had a fun time watching it with her because she had a lot of great questions, which I loved. And she was like, does Carpenter score all his films? And I was like, that's a great question. He does a lot of them. Not the thing. Not the thing. I know that's not the thing. But this one, he did 100%. Yeah, getting to see little baby Carpenter in the beginning warms my heart.
I get paid.
I forgot he was in this, to be 100% honest, but I know he said that he saw his performance in this and he was like, I'm never acting in my films again with speaking parts. But man, I
can never do this again. You had 2 lines. I can never do this again.
Hey, look, he's a man of his own tastes. And no, it's it was a lot of fun to watch, especially I have not seen the 2005 Fog. This is the only version I have seen. But being a fan, it's probably my least watched out of the Carpenter films for me. Like, I love Event Horizon. I love, like, obviously The Thing, Halloween. So it was kind of cool to go back to this and know that it was like freshly off of Halloween, reuniting him and
Queen JLC.
Thank you, Jamie Lee Curtis, and her mama. And
that mama.
Yeah, I think it's, if you go into it wanting to have a lot of fun, that's what you're going to get. And I know some people are disappointed because of the lack of blood while he was trying to get a G rating and ended up with an R rating. There's been some complaints that are like, after coming off Halloween, how is this Carpenter's next move? But he's trying to get rated G. That's why he has no blood in this film.
And Halloween wasn't that gory either.
But this was rated. This was rated R anyway. And he was like, well, fuck.
Whatever.
It's fun, guys. It's a fun movie. It's a lot of, you start with the campy storytelling, and that should set the mood for you for the rest of the film.
You shut your mouth. It was added to ad time. So
exactly. The original cut. Yeah, the original cut was 80 minutes long.
You absolutely
he gave a campy response to me saying campy. Yeah, it was great. It's fun. I might just start rotating this into my Halloween repertoire more often, just because it's feel goody ghosts and in the way of feel goody Halloween. I mean, in a Halloween sense, feel goody where people are dying and getting their eyes gouged out.
Of course. Noted.
Some initial reacts.
I didn't get my history on there.
I mean, what do we know
We're
about
just gonna read off the internet as Steve's opinion. But go on.
What's your history?
Just because it was my first time.
Wait. Steve, do you want to get your history in? Is that what you were going to say? Yeah. You wanted to get a history bit in real quick.
I had watched my John Carpenter movies mostly were Halloween, Halloween 2, Big Trouble in Little China, and Escape from New York. Those were the movies I always watched. And The Thing.
I was going to be.
I came across The Fog back in 2009. Like, had no idea about it. And I'm like, this incorporates my 2 favorite things, the beach and horror. How have I never seen this? So finally watched it in 2009.
White people and death.
Yeah, hello, it's fun. And so I looked into, it's filmed in Bodega Bay, it's filmed in Point Reyes, it's all over the place, and it became a regular for me. I became a defender of The Fog, since it tends to be overlooked by the many films John Carpenter has done,
even by the fans.
And so as Corey said, I've kept it in my Halloween rotation because it's the underdog for me that deserves more attention on it.
Initial reactions, Josh.
I don't know. My brain just got stuck on like, it has 2 of my favorite things, and I was like, ghost and fish hooks. I don't know. I was trying to think.
John Carpenter and horror, and he said no.
Listen, I'm wearing my Monterey shirt because I think of The Fog.
Hey, shout out to the Point Reyes Lighthouse, right?
It has 2 of my favorite things:
and
weather and lighthouses.
Hello.
Yeah. I say it because it's in Marin County, which is my hometown. That's where that lighthouse is.
I thought of you when I was like, oh, where is this?
Right down the road. I'm there now.
Oh, are you really?
Lighthouse.
Oh God. Anyway,
west.
When it was done, I was like, there's something special about 80s horror. I just as an 80s kid, I'm just like, anytime I get the chance to watch an 80s movie, I'm just like, man. And this movie, like, I really like it. Like a lot. There were so many effects that I was like, that is so cool. Like I know that they're just playing it in reverse, but oh my God, that is so cool. It's just like movie magic. Like I watched the Crow, and watching when they needed, like trying to notice when they had to like block for, unfortunately, Lee being dead, and it was like movie magic. Like it was just like you couldn't. It was like whoa. But anyway, with this one, it was
Fast and the Furious 7.
there were so many. Yeah, I mean, it was just so many good. Like the ghosts at the end in the church was probably my favorite, because I love horror lighting when they have it's basically just the eyes, and there's quite a bit of shots that have that, or like especially when the priest is like, we're doomed. He's just like we're doomed, and he's just like, take me, and it's just
Game
like
over, man.
Game over, man. But just I love that lighting. It just the joygasm and the music, like when it hits in, like when you're just like, oh my God,
such a solid score.
Oh my God. It's so cheesy by today's standards. Let me just by music standards, but it's
real,
so
man.
good. It's so good. Anyway.
I love it, but I think of Jason Segel's quote and Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Oh, you want to dark and ominous. Oh, but that's what it is, but it works so well in the film.
Yeah. Anyway, there's so many things, but somebody else speak.
Amy.
What?
Popcorn Amy.
Popcorn me.
Yeah.
Popcorn and Steve's. No, just kidding. I will make sure I go.
Double popcorn.
Double pops. So first reactions to this film, I was taken aback. There's something about an 80s, and I'm finding it as I gently traverse into horror and understand not only like the genre, but everybody from all of the different eras of horror and how their take, not only their takes and how they speak to what they want to create, like just as directors as a whole, but especially when it pertains to horror, and how Carpenter finds a way, just like everything I've seen with this man is always been like, oh, that's really, just like Josh is like, oh, that's really cool. Oh, that's
fun.
really nice.
Oh, that's fun.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And you're like, oh, okay. And the fact that the story for The Fog was actually based on a real story from like the 19th century is absolutely bonkers. Like the folk tale.
Oh yeah.
And then twist, and then the way that it twists and it moves, and it comes in such a space after seeing Halloween, where it was so Laurie focused, that we have an ensemble now, and it's more about the people as a whole. I was like, oh, okay, I'm tracking with this. This is really cool. And then I think it was so unexpected for me, as it's a ghost story. And that's one of those things that it continues regardless of how long you've been in the genre, or, it's something about a spooky story around a campfire. And then when it becomes real, like it takes you back to that place when you were a kid and you felt that, like just in your bones. And the fact also, this made me a little more apprehensive when I was up at Fort Bragg recently and the fog rolled in. So that's always great.
Every time I'm in Monterey, I always think
I watched this movie and then I applied it to real life.
And I was like, there's something in the fog. Like, yeah, it's just initial reactions. It was a delight. And I'm finding more and more that I have a heart for directors who continue to follow something that is their passion. And you can see it not only in the way that he writes, but in the team he surrounds himself with and how he applies it to what he presents. Popcorn Tom.
I feel like, to that same point, I just like how it's very simplistic. It's just the fog rolls in, bad stuff happens, like they kind of play it fast and loose of like, hey, here's this thing that's going to explain everything. We're going to introduce it. And then as you see, we're going to allow you to see what happens when the fog comes in. We're going to allow you to see what happens to objects and people. Like, you're just being shown like the horror and chaos happening. And then, when it's daytime and, the fog is at bay, you're seeing, how these people are, and you're kind of at a humanistic level, an audience point, you're choosing who you want, who you like, and who you're attaching yourself to, as well as how do they all survive and what's going to happen when they all ultimately connect, ideally. And I think, to me, there was something really, really kind of enjoyable, because I think sometimes we get a little too lost in the sauce nowadays. Like, there's something that's going on with video games where, like, it has to be super realistic, and then we're kind of just forgetting about the fun aspect of, like, let's ride a carousel unicorn that runs faster than a Lamborghini. It's like, that's stupid, but, like, let's do it. And here it's just like, dude, it's a coastal city, this happens, these are your folks, and they're normal people. There's no one gonna, like, there's
Don't
not
go
like
in the fog and scene.
Yeah.
Done.
And, like, there's
a cool 30-year age gap. Don't worry about it. And
hey, and I'll say I do enjoy Elizabeth's kind of, like, subversion of the last person blah blah
so normal
was too normal, and I was just like, that's kind of funny.
It is.
It's I think what we're talking about here, and how we understand how John Carpenter, like, kind of plays a lot in the genre, in ways that talk about it, and as ways that challenge it, and then as ways that lives within it. So it's I think if people who are listening, watching, might be interested, but, like, I don't know, like, it's definitely something I think you just do part of your quote unquote homework of building your repertoire of, like, have I seen this? Should I see this? It's like, absolutely.
I was just gonna say, there are some cool fucking shots in this, guys.
Really
Like,
nice.
some of it 80s cheese, yes. For the time, terrifying. Today's standards, yeah, whatever. Practical effects are always going to be king to me, but there are some incredible shots. There's one shot that I audibly gasped at, and it's when the kid is in the kitchen and the sitter comes home, and you're getting this split view of the house where you can see the kid in the kitchen, and it's cut right on a doorway, and you see the sitter come home, and I was just like, oh, I adore this, John, you dear man.
Can I touch on that? Can I
yeah,
touch on that?
please.
That was some of the facts I was going to point out for this episode.
Please.
Your director of photography in this movie is Dean Cundy, who worked on majority of John Carpenter's movies, including Halloween 1, 2, and 3, The Fog, Escape from New York, The Thing, Big Trouble in Little China. He also is known for all 3 Back to the Futures, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Roadhouse, Hook, Death Becomes Her, Jurassic Park, Casper, Apollo 13, What Women Want, and episodes of The West
So
Wing.
he's done some things.
So I hope we all hope he gets his break someday. And
West Wing,
no,
and The Mandalorian. There you go.
I think there's only like a couple, like maybe 3 things that I haven't seen. It's mostly West Wing off that list that you
So
you should watch The West Wing. Good
adding
Lord.
to the beauty of those shots. I mean, right there, it shows the talent that was already there early in his career.
And shooting on the, what was it, 235 is what he was shooting on, I think.
The anamorphic Panasonic, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, the shots in this, I mean, look, I know I sound like a broken record. We've said this a million times on our podcast. But I have a firm belief, and Tom is the one who kind of opened my eyes to this, credit where credit's due, that horror directors, it's like Iron Chef, guys. It's like, we're going to give you a squid, an apple, and some broccoli. And other directors are like, okay, I need $50 million. And then horror directors like, I already made the dish.
Yep,
like,
done.
it's so incredible what they're able to do on the budget that they have.
In a cave with a bunch of scraps.
And
This is,
I mean,
movie making.
I always take it back to Pony Smasher, David, and Peter Jackson, are both horror filmmakers who have made blockbusters now, and were given a budget, and you went, oh shit, yeah, that's right. And so I don't think that is any less relevant here in this film either. There are just some incredibly wonderful shots in this that set the tone of this movie so fucking well. And I know some of them were on accident, like with the framing of the fog above Janet Leigh. Janet Leigh?
Yep.
Yes.
Janet.
Happy accidents, guys. But having the, what's that saying where it's like, intelligence says tomato is a fruit and wisdom is not putting it in a fruit salad. Like intelligence tells you how to direct, but wisdom is knowing to leave that shot in because it's a happy accident. Yeah, man. I just along with the score, I mean, credit where credit's due as well with that. Like John Carpenter does not slack on his scores for his own films. He makes songs from my movies. I saw him live once, and that was how he opened his show. I'm John Carpenter. I'm going to play songs from my movies, and everyone was like, "Fuck yes, that's what we're here for." Yeah, it's a good time, man. It is just, it's a lot of fun. Nothing's, like I'll say the thing gets, there's a lot of people who can't stomach that movie for good reason. But I don't think this falls in the category of that movie.
There's no blood.
This is right.
No blood.
There's no dogs turning into amorphous blobs and growing tentacles and heads crawling away. It's
really a shame.
It just goes to show you too. I think that John Carpenter, even when restricting himself, and without relying on certain crutches like blood and gore and stuff like that. Not that I feel that they're crutches, but it can still be terrifying just through visuals and storytelling. And I think this film executes on a lot of those levels very well. And it's fun. It's so fun.
There's so many moments like
when they're exploring the ship. It's so fun.
There's so many moments of like classic horror film, like as a viewer of like, no. Oh, yep. There goes.
Don't go in there.
Lady. Yep. There it is.
I mean,
don't go check the front door at the radio station. Don't do it. At the weather station. Don't do it.
We're pretty much flirting with the favorite parts and aspects, so we just go straight into it. Josh, I think you wanted to mention specific parts that you were like, don't do it. So let's get into it.
Oh, I mean, it's just the nope. Don't go to the window. Nope. Don't open the. Yep. They did it. Sweet old lady's not safe.
Don't put the kid in the room and then you open the door.
Don't.
Looks like someone's trying to mess with me.
Don't turn it. Just close the door. Just lock the door.
Dan,
messing with the wrong guy.
Oh, my favorite part.
Dan, you fool.
I couldn't stop thinking about this. Not that it's a bad thing. And it's not a qualm. I could not. It was so good. Jamie Lee Curtis rolls into town, and she and the guy just form a relationship, and they're just like they're so sweet. Like watching the movie, I was like, at one point she like grabs his arm, and I'm like,
that's a connection, a bond.
You just like, and I love that he just goes, "So what's your name?" And I'm like, listen, I love that. I just love that she just rolls in and they're a thing. And then they go through a thing and you're like,
and then she's like, thanks, Dad. I mean, Nick.
Oh,
it was my only qualm with this movie. I liked their chemistry, but 35 years is rough.
It's a lot. I was gonna say.
I think she did ask if he was weird, so
yeah,
she was
wanted
checking.
weird. She wanted weird. Yeah.
I think one of my favorite parts of the movie is the moment after the boat scene, and we're in the morgue or the hospital, and we have one of
the boat scene where they find the body.
Yes.
Okay.
And then we have the body that reanimates back to life, and it comes after Elizabeth, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, and it's doing the good cross-cutting conversation out the door. Jamie Lee Curtis unsuspecting, wide shot of her not responding to what's behind her, and then the small cutaways into like, okay, we're coming in back to the outside. You're just like, we
Did you even get a little POV in there from the body POV.
Maybe that's very Carpenter. I probably imagine, but I'm here for all of that because writing, directing, the storytelling, editing, and editing is the final storyteller, and it's like you piece those all together, and then you get what we watch in the theater, and that creates this great moment. And much, I think, to what everyone's talking about, like there are some really good moments, and this is one of those like highlights where it's like you don't need blood. You don't need special effects.
Suspense.
I don't even think you need that much score. I think it was kind of in the background. It might have just like had like a zing that was just kind of rising. And I was just like, that's all you need, man. Like to create just one really cool, iconic moment for me. And I was like, that was one of those things. And it was
like a reminder of the Halloween scene when she thinks she's killed Michael and he's behind her doing the whole sit up and she has no idea he's coming toward her. It's another like version of that.
Yeah, it's not cheap, right? I mean, it's cheap as in terms of affordability, but it's not cheap in terms of like, I'm going to be like, like jump scared out of nowhere. It's like,
It's coming.
You're in the ride. You're going for the ride. It's not just like turn. It's like, oh well, Jesus. Okay, now I'm over it. So other favorite parts?
I enjoyed the I mean, as cheesy as it was when the newscaster has the sign that begins leaking in her.
That was my favorite.
Oh, then you take it away. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm going to piggyback and then we can share.
Go for it.
Yeah, one of my favorite parts was definitely when and her name's Stevie Wayne. She's got the driftwood and then with the water and the way that it worked. It was one of those like things shouldn't be wet around all of these electronics.
So moist.
You're at a radio station. It's so moist.
I went, that is so cool. That is so,
it was
that is
great,
so cool. Just the way that it started happening. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Corey, I pass to you.
I mean, the sign changing to say, I forget what it said.
6 must die.
Thank you. I missed it the first time. I had to rewind it. Caught it at the tail end. I was like, holy shit, wait a second. And then immediately calling her son to be like, please do not go to the beach. Don't pick anything up off the beach. You wait for me to come home. I don't know. I was fascinated as much as I liked the main storyline. I was fascinated with her storyline just as much. I loved the way she was presented in the beginning. Her relationship with Dan was hilarious to me. And then, the classic, he puts his headphones or the phone down and she's screaming, Dan, no, Dan, stay away from the windows. Dan, don't go to the door.
Poor Dan.
Somebody outside the door.
I like she's doing it for us, and I felt great about it. Yeah, just a number of striking visuals. I also just love the shot of her going down the steps to the lighthouse. The 313 steps down to the lighthouse.
That gave me a little bit of Twin Peaks. Bit of Twin Peaks, and I think that's an era of storytelling, horror, so surreal, supernaturally that I miss. Where it's like, Carpenter's really great with it, especially showing how what's the place in Halloween? Haddonfield. Just showing the sleepy town. Showing the sleepy town before the craziness happens. You're kind of like, oh, this is nice and relaxing. But it's also like a torpedo launched in your back of your brain, ready to explode, being like, everyone is going to suffer. You're like, oh.
When I saw the sign when it turned to 6 must die, I was like, I mean, that's not so bad. I mean, we only need like 3 more people.
6.
I mean, we all
in a population of 18. It's a lot.
I mean,
Josh, we only need 3 more people. We're covering.
I mean, come on.
All right, who wants to go?
We've got 6. We've got 6 characters that we kind of care about. 3 that are actually like, yeah, that I care about them, but like,
okay, brilliant.
Whatever.
3.
That's why we got the ending, Josh, and that's why you're the guy at the end who's just like, what happened? We didn't meet quota. You're reminding the teacher we didn't get homework yet. That's what you just.
Somebody walks out of their house at the end going, so what happened? Oh, it was foggy. 6 people died. 6. Wow.
Brilliant.
That's
which 6?
Which 6?
Oh, I didn't know them. Weird.
But it was only a town of 10.
I'm sorry.
They went to book club.
I want to jump in before, because I think Steve's entire favorite part is the entire movie.
Incorrect, but
I will say I do super enjoy the absolute first shot of the movie, and it's the GIF, because the creator calls it GIF. I don't make the rules. Of the stopwatch or the maritime watch, and it like dangles in front of the camera, and then we have the kids in the background, and it's just like, it feels like perfect witching hour TV special. Like, hello, boys and girls, are you ready for today's time? It's so kind of cozy in that horror movie way. Yep. But also, first thing I literally said out loud watching it for this episode, I was like, you don't get that shot no more. Everyone's too fucking weak and too lazy and too cowardly to do shots like this. And I'm like, and all you did was just force perspective.
Do it, you coward.
Like, come on, man.
You coward.
So I really like that. And I like, you did the opening, and I was like, just to stay warm. I was like, what the hell does that even mean, man? Like, I was like, this is cool.
Oh,
yeah.
I got to work with her once.
Really?
Yeah, she's very nice.
That's
very sweet.
Oh, I love to hear that.
She's from Sacktown.
And her and Carpenter were married at that time.
They were married. Yeah.
She went to Foothill. Oh, yeah. What the hell?
They got married
Hey.
before or after he retired from acting. They were together.
They were married while he retired.
Oh, during the retirement.
Yeah.
Got it.
During the retirement, they threw him a party and everything. If I can jump in real quick before Steve comes with the thunder. I love this hits like the practical as well as character. I love the fog itself.
Yes.
I love it's iridescent. I love that it has different densities. I love that it feels that it's palpable. I love the way that when they had the giant fog machines that they came through and they had to keep like putting it out there because it would just get blown away.
Mhm.
I love that they figured out how to set up essentially they would do the shots with the locations and then they would create like this little diorama that was just all black and they had organized it in such a way that they could pour the fog over the top of it, shot it, and then put it together.
Yeah.
Yes. I was enamored with the really creepy fog.
I agree with you.
It feels tangible.
It's its own
Like-
character.
Mhm.
It's its own
Exactly.
piece of the puzzle. Yeah. There's the shot. Now that you're bringing up the fog, because I agree with you 100% everything you're saying. And I think it's a very famous shot in the movie. And the way the fog is used is it was right after they pick up the kid and the tire's stuck.
Yes.
And he's trying to go. And it's a shot from inside the car at Jamie Lee Curtis. And you see the fog coming. And then at one time it cuts back to her and the fog lights up for a moment. And you see like the bodies walking towards her in the fog. And then the lights go out. And you're like, I don't know how close they are now because the light went out.
You need to
But I love
now.
the way they use that. That shot specifically, I was like, oh, I love this. And then it would just cut back to her and they'd be closer and closer and they'd go in reverse. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying with the fog. Like it's just how they utilized it is stunning.
And it's so interesting because when we also talk about like the isolation of coastal towns and that design of something that we have utterly no control over, which is something that when like that was my thing when I first went in and watched Halloween. And of course, Steve's already knows this, but I was like, I don't know what to do. This guy's just coming and there's no sense to it. There's no rhyme or reason. You don't know why it's Lori. It doesn't make any sense. And in this, you have no control. Once again, also that creepy dad picked up Jamie Lee Curtis hitchhiker. His name, Nick Castle, makes it even funnier for me.
Yep. That's one of my tidbits.
Nick Castle.
Nick Castle is the shape in Halloween.
It's
He's
John
spooky.
Carpenter's directing
Actor,
buddy.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think his character, John Carpenter's character, is also named after his college roommate, if I'm not correct. I could be wrong on that.
The one who
but-
doesn't get paid.
The priest isn't paid.
Yeah.
Come in 6 instead of 4.
I get paid.
Poor guy.
But the fact that not only do you feel the palpable isolation of the town itself, like it's on the coast, it's a town of 10. The one guy that slept through the entire thing is never gonna know. It's gonna be great.
What the fuck?
Exactly.
Where's
It's Josh
Carl?
waking up being I swear he didn't pick up my garbage yesterday. What's happening?
We had a book club.
Where's Al?
But like the fog again, it's something we have utterly no control over. And for everybody else, save for what is it, Father Malone, which sounds like he should be a gangster. Sorry. It's one of those.
Leave him
things where-
alone.
Hey.
Oh.
Bada bing.
Sorry.
Bada bing. That everybody else is just like, well, what does it want? What do? We can't stop it. And then you get Stevie, who's like, everyone just don't go in the fog. Like, keep it over there. Just look at it, but avoid it. And I'm like, how are you going to avoid it? It's coming for me no matter what.
It's fog.
You know what's kind of crazy is how in this movie, how fake it is that someone with a microphone actually helped people.
Oh.
Instead of nowadays, and everyone's just doing stupid shit.
Run!
I love it. It's
I
like,
thought
Was it
that was-
Danny?
Andy.
That's what it was.
Andy.
I actually,
Andy.
as an actor, I was
Go to
watching that scene like, and I was like, wow. Mainly when she was coming down from the emotional toil of what just happened, I loved watching her. There was a transitional emotion that was happening, and I was just like, it was really great. I was like, sometimes horror movies, especially 80s horror movies, get a bad rap for acting, but it's like, watch them, like really watch them. And I was just like, damn, Adrian, that was fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Killed
Did
it.
you have a favorite part?
Killed it.
Well, after
Funny
all,
you should ask.
you should say that. So the movie starts. No, I'm kidding. Going on.
11:55.
I like the beach.
I like the story. That scene of Stevie walking to the lighthouse, the beauty of it, also showing that how many steps she's taking, but also showing how disconnected she kind of is from what's happening to everyone else in that town physically. She is far away from everybody, and her only connection during those scenes is being able to get on the mic and tell them what she sees to hopefully that helps everybody, because that's the only way she can help anyone. She can't get to anybody fast enough. The steps alone, she can't get to anybody fast enough.
Plus, she was filming in Marin County. Everyone else filmed in British Columbia.
Yeah, she was really far away.
What are you gonna do?
Oh, oh. Also, the
New bit, guys. We're here for it. Get ready on the rest of this. This is my new hockey. It's my new hockey pads. It's my new hockey pads. Get ready.
So, my actual favorite of the whole movie is after the campfire, that whole buildup of the town when all you hear is her voice, because it's showing, before we get there, how her voice plays a role in all these different stories throughout the town. She's everywhere as we're seeing, being introduced to this town.
I understand how podcasts work. Thank you.
You're welcome. As we're seeing the story that the old man just told us about start to take effect on this town. The gas handle falling on the ground and gas just pumping out, electricity going out, and with just the slow burn that Carpenter is so good at doing.
The cars going off.
It was just this slow anticipation. We're being introduced to this town. We get a taste of the bad stuff before we get to the actual really bad stuff the next day. And so I love that whole setup of it.
Carpenter's fantastic with that. Like, I'm gonna let you finish. Carpenter's fantastic. I was talking with my wife about that. I was like, we got a hint of it, and then it's like 25 minutes of not the fog. But he keeps us in. He keeps us hooked.
Yep.
We're like, when is it? And it's thank you.
Hooked.
Oh, I just think that's so impressive. Anyway, back to you, Steve.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Oh dear.
Sorry.
The fog gives us the O word. That's the episode.
You can't spell fog without O.
Corey's O to the All right.
The slow burn that we're familiar with. We'll get back on track here.
That's kind of where I was going, because that's my favorite part of the movie is the whole build-up of it. With the O, the big O. The score always stood out to me because when I used to have Sirius XM in October, they always had
How's your back?
Yeah, hurts. They would play horror tracks from movies where you'd get like the score and a scene from the movie followed by more of the score, and that's where I was first introduced to The Fog, where they would play John Carpenter's score and then you would hear a scene of dialogue. And then this is what they would do during Halloween.
That sounds like
So what's your name?
I love
when you go to like a composer's concert, they show a little bit of the scene and they do the thing.
Yeah, it's called Cinemagic. It's the station that does it. They do it for all movie soundtracks, but of course during October it's all horror movies. And that's when I came across The Fog, and that's my first intro to it, was just hearing the music and these scenes that would pop in between. But yeah, the opening and the slow burn. That's my absolute favorite of it.
Do you remember what channel that's on so I can plug it into?
So it used to be on when I had the radio. Well, the radio guys is what Adrian is speaking to in that movie.
Radio.
It was channel 27. I don't know what it is online. I'm not sure, but it's called Cinemagic. That's actually the voice. They go Cinemagic. That's what they say. Yeah, that's
That sounds great.
Yeah, you're welcome. It is.
I loved because it was such a unexpected thing. And so we've got the golden cross scene and everything, and you're like, oh, the debt is paid. All right, cool.
Where is it?
Well, here we are. And then the ghost is like, one more thing, and comes back for the priest, and you're
Only
like,
5 were taken.
You're like, cool. They took 5. They were good. They got the money back. They got their refund. Okay.
Well, they got revenge on the bloodline.
Yeah.
Which is very important.
Which that the lore of it, even though it's so simple, I loved how the priest was learning about the sins of the past, and he's just like,
Grandpa.
everything that we're. My favorite was when he's like, what we're doing tonight is a travesty. It's based on lies, and it's just like it was such a great moment where he's like realizing the
celebrating
generational
issues,
and it's like whoa, it is a simple plot, but it's kind of a cool little lore thing that you're like, that's neat.
All because of his dirty, rotten, no good, pig stealing great grandpa.
Fucking grandpa.
I know this isn't the episode, but in the remake, which Carpenter and Deborah Hill both produced, just so that if it gets the graces of anybody, they go like the lore is much more like the plot first instead of like let's have the people survive and what do they do in the face of this supernatural horror thing. So it's for anyone who cares at all. If they like the lore, they can see that one. Yeah,
but it also didn't have that like a terrible rating for the remake.
Yeah,
I don't trust.
Well, it's because we didn't get origin stories for each of the characters. So why should we?
I really need to know how Mayor Kathy Williams ran her campaign to understand why she is so so dismissive of Father Malone and his deep-seated issues of not only long-term paternal problems, of alcoholism,
boredom,
of his cultural impact, not only on the town in and of itself, and his flagrant disregard for kindness when it comes to people that have leprosy. Like, come on.
I kind of wanted, if this is Mel Brooks.
And we didn't even get Batman's origin.
Right.
So why Justice League shouldn't even be made.
Was kind of wanted Father Malone, if it was Mel Brooks movie, to walk out at the end, be like, 1, 2, 3, 4.
And the ghosts come in, and the ghosts come in and go, oh, just one more thing. And just take but
this is my
old school
hand.
stage style. Their hook comes and
as it gets
like vaudeville.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No.
That's pretty funny.
I want to do a shout because since you mentioned her, Deborah Hill, who was responsible for the great dialogue between characters in Halloween regarding Laurie and her friends, you get that here as well because John Carpenter has said before, Deborah was a master at dialogue between characters, just the getting to know them as just regular people and what they chat about, getting to know you. But Deborah Hill, credit
all about you
to that queen for writing that dialogue.
Did anybody else when she was walking down the stairs go, nope? I wouldn't do that every day. Nope. She does it every day. That's something that they just quickly establish.
Think of her calves, the glutes. She's 313 steps every day.
Leg day.
Leg days every day.
A behind the scenes or documentary where they went back and they kind of talked to everybody. And Adrian's like, yeah, I used to just walk down. It was nice and easy. And then you walk back up, but you've been sitting for a while. So you're okay. She goes, the only people I felt bad for was the crew. Like me, actors, we're fine. And I'm just like,
Sometimes they close those stairs in real life
because it's too windy.
40-mile-an-hour winds, baby.
But a radio station in a lighthouse is so cool.
So cool.
It is, right?
That is so cool.
But at some point you just move in, right? You just move into the lighthouse.
Yeah, absolutely.
Saves you on the commute.
Have a lab.
KAB, Antonio Bay, California.
Yeah.
We should all live in a lighthouse.
Before we get too long into it, let's move on to lasting thoughts, things we wanted more of, and how we would recommend. I mean, we kind of already done the how we recommend, but lasting thoughts and things we wanted more of, or
no notes.
Age gap.
Nice.
No, more blood. That's actually my only actual thing.
Coming from me, an age gap, like my wife is older than me, but 35 years is
it's pushing a little.
Yeah,
it's a little.
The guys, they weren't getting married. They were hooking up.
That's more than me difference.
I think that Steve's. I think that makes it maybe worse.
Nah,
I think love is a determining factor. I don't know. I don't know these things. I think more blood is my only actual note. I get he was trying to go for the G rating, but
he wanted the PG rating. He didn't even want the G.
Yeah.
If there's something more, I agree on the notes. Like I don't really have any. You want more blood? I like this. This could almost feel like an intro, to Carpenter. It comes off. Even the story is the full story feels kind of simple, but it's a ghost story. It honors like Creep Show. It honors EC Comics. It comes from that place of like, let's gather around and have that conversation. Or if you're treading gently into the world of Senor Carpenter, you want something like I could show this to my 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 third grader, fourth grader, and not have a problem. Like I know your boys could watch it, and then they'd freak out every time they see the fog when you guys go on your trips, Steve's.
They like pirates so far, but we'll see.
But that's something else that you could bring up. Be like, oh, you better be careful, or they're gonna come back for you. Come out the fog, them pirates. Like, and the fact also that the original story is grounded in actual truth makes that so tangible. I think this is like a great kind of like gentle step in, especially if you're not a big horror fan. So that's definitely a recommendation for me. But again, I'm cool with lack of blood, especially the double jump scare in the boat.
That's good, right? Got you at the locker, and then Jamie Lee scream.
Nope. Nope.
She's so good at screaming.
So good.
Josh?
She is very good at screaming.
I mean, it's just back to front. I really enjoyed it. There's nothing that I would take from it or add to it. I want to watch it again and just notice all the practical effects some more, and just like it's when I think about it, watching it was an easy watch, which tells me a lot, which is like, oh wow, this is like I couldn't help but appreciate everything about it. Even the some might say cheesy bits about it. You're like, no, that was
I need
gold. That was gold. It's just like it's that era of movies, and even the genre of movie. It's just like it comes with it.
There's something like akin to like when you sit down and watch like any of those claymation Christmas movies where you're like, wouldn't you like an updated version of this? And you go, fuck no.
Leave it.
There's a magic here that you'll never get.
Yeah. It made me want to make a movie. That's when I see it, because like when I watch something,
baby.
When I watch something like that, and unfortunately, how I watch movies sometimes, the technical part of my brain, the creative part of my brain starts going, okay, how do they do that? Oh, that's really cool. Oh man, it makes me want to make a movie. And it's like, it's really neat. It's just, it's cool.
And you can too.
To that point, I really like what you're talking about, like the era of movie. And I think for me, I don't know. I think at first the movie was actually quite critically panned. So that's why, again, like, I'm like, I don't know. I can't trust a group of critics that I don't care about. I could trust one critic because I might know that critic, but like, I can't trust a group of critics that don't know anything about like the audience, because for some reason Fast and Furious movies get made, even though critics hate those movies. Right. So with that being said, like, I think there's a plenty of things that someone could be like, oh, let's remake it with like better cameras and like not so like, one-off actors, or, let's do all this. And it's like, I think you would kind of like make it something else. You would strip away the charm. And this is kind of like one of those things where I'd say like, you can kind of try to nitpick this movie, but like, this is what I imagine the perfect movie of like the two teenagers that are like hanging out on Halloween instead of like helping their little like sibling go like door to door, and like the teenagers might make out, and then you're like, because to me I always thought that was weird that like they would make out to like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm like, that's so violent. Like, how are you gonna watch that and be like, what's up, sweetie? I'm like, no, but this here, I'm like, this is for the family. This everyone can enjoy.
And then
this
you stop making it go, wait, I love this part.
You're like,
get back to it.
Get off me. Okay, no.
This is the part where the sign leaks. This is where the sign leaks. The sign's leaking.
The sign's leaking.
This is like a cuddle up to your girlfriend, like scare kind of thing, where it's that little like scream or boyfriend or whomever your partner is, whoever you are interested in engaging with, consensual with your arms.
But I feel like it's also a good horror movie to show like your kids. Like it's on that line of like,
again, it's for the family,
but it's not ultra violent. It's good. It's good times.
It's got some spoopage.
The Steves?
I'm here.
Lasting thoughts? Recommend one more?
And with that,
Always been a favorite of mine. You get alumni from Carpenter's previous films in there. You're gonna see Annie from Halloween. You're gonna
Sacktown represent.
You're gonna see a sheriff, a Brackett, who's Dan, the weatherman. So you're gonna get those
and Scream Queen royalty.
Miss Janet Leigh, she's in there. It's got talent to it. You have a great story. Whether you are a lover of both the beach and horror like myself, or just love old 80s horror movies that may have been overlooked, this one should be added to your list. It's Carpenter, baby. It's Carpenter.
Carpenter, baby. Cool. So with that, everyone, thank you for listening to our The Fog episode. But we don't finish there. We have one last thing, and it's one interesting thing. Where we're going to go around and talk about one interesting thing that has nothing to do with the movie. It could be a game, a TV show, a book, a song, something that we're trying to give to you guys. That's just like a little cherry on top that you didn't expect. I feel like I'm getting something from Corey right now.
You getting something from me, baby? No. For me, it is that.
But
not that. I actually have a little. This is it. It's not something I'm currently doing, but something I'm planning to do, and I'm very excited about it. And Tom and I actually talked a little bit about it earlier today. As you all know, I am away from. I don't know if you could tell those of you who are watching the video. I'm not at home right now.
Living in a shed.
I'm living in a shed down by the river.
In a lighthouse.
I'm in a lighthouse. No, I'm not home right now. I'm very excited to get back into my house in the next coming weeks here. Knocking on wood here. Get my PC set up. And I'm looking forward to streaming again. I have a new baby on the way, but I have a little bit of downtime. And I have been doing nothing but watching clips of this Wukong game that's out, the Sun Wukong game. And boy, oh boy, are you going to see me streaming that weekly. And I can't wait to dig in. It is the type of game that I've kind of always dreamed about. I've kind of always been very excited for. Tom, what are you laughing about? What you got going on?
I'm not laughing. I'm just scared because I know exactly. We talked about this, and you've been wanting to go into the Eastern, fight genre stuff.
Yes.
But what everyone says about it and the gameplay style that you have respectfully kept a distance from.
Yeah. Except what I've read about is it's not quite that. It's more action adventure based, which I'm here for. I can deal with a little more challenge if we got a little more action adventure. So yeah, looking forward to starting that probably end of September.
I've seen shots or just like video, and it
when this comes out.
Very cool.
When this comes out, it means it's probably already happening.
Spoiler.
That's my new and exciting thing. I got things brewing. I got a new Mac Mini that came in today. This is what I'm using. So I got some stuff happening, guys. Got some stuff happening.
Amy?
Things. I totally came unprepared, but I'll talk about something that I finally decided to listen to, and I hate it. So I am of the minority. So there was this big hullabaloo and whoop-de-doo about the book series. The Court of
Timbuktu. Sorry.
A court of thorns and
my wife loved it.
Thorns and roses.
My wife loved it.
Thorns and roses.
The fairy sexies.
Here's the thing. Sarah Mace, you are a wonderful writer. I love you. But Holly Black holds my heart. You want to get all your shenanigans, high fae. You want to talk about the relationships between the fae and other creatures and so I'm literally 5 hours into a 16-hour book, and as much as bagel, it's I'm waiting for we've been trapped behind these masks, and I'm okay, and our
all wear masks.
Yeah, and our heroine's I want to get out of here. I want to go with my family, and they're you can't leave. You got to stay. And she's but my family doesn't know what to do because I'm the only person that's capable. It's toying the line between if Cinderella's dad didn't die and OG Belle from the books, they're taking. No, I haven't gotten to that. Stop your freaky deaky. Stop it. So right now I am just whelmed, and I'm hoping that there's some pickup because right now I will definitely go back to Steelheart and do some Brandon Sanderson and have some like.
Best I can tell you is my wife and sister-in-law adored that whole damn franchise. So
right now I am the minority.
Maybe it'll get there. I don't know.
Maybe Halloween turns out to be a little freaky.
I'm like, so you're 5 hours in and you don't like it. Some people would say that's about time to stop. You don't have to like it.
Listen.
And you don't have to just like force yourself to like it.
She's not a quitter.
That was like the first time.
I'm not a quitter.
She's not a quitter.
No.
A quitter.
You don't tap out.
I think it was the first time I told Josh.
Make sure I hate this.
Jesus didn't tap.
No.
Hey.
Thank you, Tom.
It's the first time I told Josh I didn't like Game of Thrones. He's like, well, how much of it did you watch? I was like, the first 2 seasons and then the first season again. He goes, yeah, I don't think you like Game of Thrones. Because I had so many people like, just wait till the 5th season. And I was like, I can't. I
hate
can't.
it.
And Josh was
It's like video games now, like the classic 12 hours in. It's like, dude, what the?
Yeah, I was like, okay. So I just have to watch 40 hours of the show to get into it.
Yeah, then you'll know.
I want to give that first book a chance because even as a reader, I would always give the first book a chance and then be like, no, I want to continue this.
But Josh has the same reaction to me.
Exciting reader.
Bro, I don't think you like Game of Thrones.
Just because a whole market of people like it doesn't mean that you have to.
I give the show 1 season. If I can't stand the first season,
I
did too.
Maybe.
Arrow was dry oatmeal that first season.
The 14th chapter.
Time out. This is another episode.
It is.
Oh,
Secondly,
this will be fun.
Secondly, whatever the market has done to you guys is like sucks. Movies, 5 minutes. TV show, 1 episode. Book, 2 chapters. That is the rule, and that is how you are trained to do it.
That's it.
If you can't do that shit, sorry.
I did 2 seasons.
Get your craft and make it better. Album, 1 album.
Wait, Arrow was dry oatmeal that first season. If you didn't stick around for the second season,
doesn't matter.
Sorry, then that's your fault.
That's a great second season.
You need no. But this is what I'm saying. A good pilot.
Same with
you be like, this might suck for a
Parks and
while,
Rec,
but is it interesting enough to see him kill these guys?
That makes sense. Yeah, the pilot was good.
Am I going to see him and his sister, or am I going to see him and Laurel?
That makes sense.
You had a great first season. Supernatural. Anyway.
Anyways, so I'll go next.
I want to get through my book, and then I can get yelled at by Josh later.
One
supportively yelled at by Josh.
Funny enough, one interesting thing for me, I'm playing around with it, and I posted on social media.
Go blind.
And it's funny, at the time of this recording, Every Frame of Painting just posted up a new video.
Oh yeah,
and it's kind of what really kind of I wouldn't say like I was inspired by it, but I definitely watched it and was a fan of their work. If you don't know their video essays that talk about like the craft and like the magic of movies.
They have one on Jackie Chan that is just
taking apart certain aspects that you don't think about, and they put it into like kind of like a vacuum and be like, let's just absorb this one thing. And for me, I was kind of like, I think I want to talk about like it's weird. It's a very weird niche thing, but I kind of want to do my first ever try at a video essay like that on Nerd On's channel. And it would be about how to watch, like what to look forward to, and like if it works, if it doesn't, I'm not going to spoil the whole thing, but just so that you guys can get an idea of it. And then the other interesting thing that I'm actually just partaking in that's not any of this shit, Dr. Stone. I finished Delicious in Dungeon, but Dr. Stone, the anime, it took me a second. I watched the first episode, didn't like it, and then I watched it again. Did that with Peaky Blinders 3 times. I watched the pilot 3 times, didn't like it. And then finally, I was like, let me just try it. And I was like, I like it. Dr. Stone.
You change as a person and your tastes change, and you can revisit something later.
I have all these rules. I think they'll say.
So Dr. Stone is an anime that where the world it just randomly all the humans become stone and animals become stone. And thousands of years pass, and then one character we follow wakes up. They crack out of their stone, and they don't know how. They find out that our main character, Senku, who's a science boy, is like, I'm going to use all the knowledge I have to help recreate society. and I'm going to fast track it. Like they took 1,000,000 years to figure out camping, fire, chemicals, how to distill this stuff. And it's like, he does it in like, okay, cool. We need this is cool. I've discovered electricity and we're still in huts. And it's like really interesting to see like hit like the development. I'm almost done with the first season, but it's been quite enjoyable. Dr. Stone, and I know a lot of the nerd audiences have been asking questions about our thoughts about it. I'm like, I don't know if I can watch the show, but no, I enjoy. Steve's.
I had brought up in the last episode about how I was going back and watching 90s movies that you may have missed out on or not caught to. I brought up The Paper with Michael Keaton, Marissa Tomei, Randy Quaid last time. Glenn Close as well. This time I'm bringing up another one, which is free to watch on YouTube with ads.
I love YouTube movies.
From 1991, the comedy...
Big Man on Campus.
Nope. The comedy... Oscar, starring Sylvester Stallone, Marissa Tomei, Tim Curry, and Kirk Douglas. Basically, Stallone is a gangster who, it's like 1931, and he promises to his dying father that he would go straight, that no more mobbing. And the last day, the day when he chooses to do it, chaos ensues at his house. It's based on a play, and it's Stallone doing complete comedy, no action hero stuff, no fight scenes or anything. It's just plain comedy, and are you
saying Rocky's not a comedy?
How dare you?
Wow, I misinterpreted that movie like a lot.
Yeah, what about Stop or My Mom Will Shoot?
There were still action scenes there, though. He's a cop. He's got a gun.
Sure, but
None of that here. He's trying to go straight. It's dumb comedy, but I'm laughing every time. Tim Curry is a grammar teacher for Sylvester Stallone, teaching him how to speak correctly. There's a great scene with the names are Martin Furrow. He was the lawyer from Jurassic Park, and
he left us.
And Harry Shearer, who was the jerk reporter from the Broderick Godzilla movie. They are the Fanucci brothers, who basically are his tailors with really thick Italian accents. They are the clowns in this. Their scenes that make me bust up every time. If you get a moment, watch Oscar on YouTube. There's ads.
in my notes right now.
1991. I love it. You may love it. You may not. It's just straight, just dumb comedy, and I enjoy
Love it. I'm in.
Director John Landis.
John Landis. Yep.
All righty, baby. Josh, you're the last. Sing us out after.
Yes. Something I started watching recently, and by watching I mean binging, and can't get enough, and I'm really sad that it was canceled. Evil. It's a show called Evil.
It was canceled?
And it started on CBS, ended after like season 2, and then Paramount Plus picked it up. And it's really interesting to watch it change studios and what they can get away with and all these kinds of things.
It's a good cast.
Luke Cage is in
it's a fun cast. They have really great chemistry, and it's just interesting stories. Michael Emerson he's good no matter what he does, but he plays a great villain. And I really enjoy it. I'm on season 3 now, and Bonnie and I just keep
dad from Honey I Shrunk the Kids TV show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's I enjoy it. It's for network television, because that can be a little spotty. But
their pacing's sometimes really good.
Yeah,
It's got Benjamin Linus.
It's
Guys.
good.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. I enjoy it. Yeah, Michael Emerson, right?
Big deal.
Yeah.
Benjamin Linus forever.
I've been thinking about revisiting Lost because my cousin is watching it there's a cut of it or
Chronological,
and he's like, oh man, I'm watching chronological Lost.
Do
and
it. I'm like,
oh my
it's
God.
sick. Tom died.
Tom died.
I'm not gonna shit on this because
It's better.
I go on walks. I go on morning walks, and then the person I go on morning walks with,
You think you're better than me?
They were saying like, oh, maybe I should do a chronological. I was like, but why? Right. And so this is just not to bring this into here. And we had this whole conversation. Then all of a sudden it led into, I was like, oh, have you watched Maxine yet? He's like, no, I haven't watched X or Pearl. And I was like, oh man, you got to watch it. He's like, okay. all of a sudden the next day he's like, "Oh, I started watching Pearl." I was like, "Oh, what'd you think of X?" He's like, "I haven't started watching." I was like, "Why?" He's like, "Because it's a chronological." I was like, "Oh my god!" I was just like,
"Oh, of course, the Nolan guy doesn't like the chronological order shit."
I like the way that
the Nolan guy wants to watch
episode 4 through 6, and then 1, 2, and 3.
I was like, you know what? Maybe start at the end, and then maybe go back to the beginning a little bit, and then get a little, but then go back to the end again to explain a little more, and then kind of jump around.
If you watched it already,
it'll be
totally fine. Totally fine.
Yeah.
If you watch it already, totally fine. Give it a chance the way they present.
No, I agree.
To you.
I'm just giving you shit.
And then get into it like, cool, maybe I should try to do it just for fun. You know,
Has
like
anyone
that's
here
totally fine.
seen the other guys?
Yeah.
Okay, there's a scene where Steve Coogan, shout out, his character, they're like, "Tell us why you did it." He goes, "All right, well, it's best if I start at the end and then kind of go back to the beginning and maybe revisit the end again as I kind of jump." And they're like, "Just tell us the story." He's like, "Oh, okay." And I think of Tom every time.
Again, not to besmirch, just not to besmirch. Like, if it's your first time, you know, but go on, Josh. I'm not trying to steal.
No, it's not our first time watching Lost, and I would recommend if it's your second time going through, the chronological edit is very, very interesting.
That
Highly recommend.
So yeah, but yeah, it's time to end it. Thank you everybody for listening. I hope
bringing
that
it back.
we have kept you entertained through this episode, and we'll probably cut to some jazz music because the royalties are cheaper.
Yes, they are, baby.
13:40 a.m. KAB.
The wind is
But,
blowing east, the fog will go west.
Yes. Big scary weather. But thanks for listening. You can visit our website, nerdon.tv. Check out our Patreon. It really does, as Tom said, it really does help us keep the lights on.
Antonio Bay.
You can check out nerdon.tv/Patreon to join the Nerd On Nation. But that's it. Well, you could join the Discord. Now it's it. nerdon.tv/Discord. But you know the drill. As always, Nerd On.
Nerd on.
Nerd on.
11:55.
Ending broadcast.